How's it going, guys? Welcome to the video. Now today I'm going to be trying to create a new clan spawn. I want to make something a little moody, a bit more of a darker tone. There are a couple elements I want to talk about in this guide. One of which is going to be covering custom walls. We're then going to be covering radials. We'll then look into Z fighting and how we can correct the decorations so they're not clipping through each other. And finally we'll look at masking your trade posts and clan vaults. So let's go ahead and go straight to the custom walls. Now, the reason I'm bringing up custom walls is a little bit because how many dojos have you walked into where they've essentially thrown this gold filigree on all the surfaces and called it a job done? Now this is not a dig. This filigree definitely has its place, but we can get a little bit more exciting than this. So this first example I've got is the Narmer ceremonial pillar. In fact, all of them are going to use this pillar. And this first example, the pillars are set to 1 meter grid snap, and they're only 1 meter apart. So pretty much as close as you can get them. And the beauty of this kind of positioning is when you start to overlap these textures, you get loads of detail added to these wall segments. You get these really nice grooves and cutouts. Kind of looks like dwarven architecture, I guess. Now, obviously, this is pretty cap intensive, so make sure you're going to have the capacity to span the entire wall that you're going to cover if you're going to use this technique. It doesn't have to be with this piece, but this piece just demonstrates it pretty well. Now, this particular decoration also works well with a 2 meter gap and a 3 meter gap. Now, just to show this technique isn't only restricted to the Narmer stuff, is a kind of industrial looking wall. So imagine you got like a corpus factory vibe, and you could use something like this to decorate a wall with a fairly low capacity cost. Now the next topic I want to cover is radials. Now this has been pretty extensively covered. I'll put a link to Vash's video as well explaining radials. The radials I'm going to be using are going to be these chandelier type things. So to make these chandeliers, we're going to grab the decoration that we want, and then I'm going to put it in position using grid snap. This whole system is much easier if you're using grid snap. So I'm going to want 8 of these in the same location. So just triangle for duplicate, X to place. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the reason we're going with 8 is because we're going to click R1 to rotate. I'm going to use the 45-degree angle snap and just rotate all the decorations out from that spot in increments of those 45 degrees. And that's pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward. Now you can go back and add additional rotations to these if you don't want them quite as simple. So maybe we can put a 15-degree incline along the green axis on this piece. Just that 15-degree change totally changes the character of the chandelier. Now I'm going to make another quick radial, but this is to bring us into our next discussion point, which is going to be placing decorations flush against the floor. Now, if you've tried to do this before, you're going to understand why it's tricky. Now you'll find if you're trying to grid snap decorations that all have a flush surface, they will tend to Z fight. This is caused by all those intersecting textures all trying to be seen on the same layer. There's no real quick fix for this. All you can do is come in afterwards, use non-grid snap movement, and just separate the decorations with a smaller increment as you can manage. If these are on the floor, you're going to want to change their distances upwards away from the floor. Because then what you can do is you can grab your floor material, put your grid snap back on, and then when you apply your floor, doesn't start trying to Z fight with the decorations you placed. And this basic technique is what you can extrapolate outwards to create these more ornate floors, where they all look flush. But they're not. They're all slightly separated by a couple of pixels. Yep, this one helped. I know I've seen a couple of requests on Twitter asking how these decorations are placed. Now there is one final cheat to kind of get around Z fighting. I've used it on this example here, and that's pretty much slam a decoration over any of the areas that are colliding. You can do it with the same texture, like I'm matching here. You can make it barely noticeable, but that's what you did. Again, this might compromise your design, so try to get in the habit of sorting out these Z fighting areas manually. Now the final point I want to discuss, super quick one, and that is you can mask your clan utilities. In this example, mostly it's going to be the trade center or trade kiosk. So the red zones on this decoration are really not that horrible. So it means you can clip a lot of decorations through this thing. There's only like really the main console that's a red zone. So you can't cover that disc. Again, this is not important, but if you're trying to set the theme for a room, the last thing you want is like a great big Tenno colored object kind of ruining the vibe, right? There is an accompanying video to this guide that shows the room being built and its final showcase. Link will be in the description below. As always, I'm open to any questions you guys have. Leave them in the comments. Get in touch on Twitter. And if you're enjoying the dojo content, I'd appreciate a like on the video. I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Enjoy.